Does this hectic scene look familiar to you? We've set up a CCTV camera on a ward that shows what life's like around midday for patients and staff in a hospital very near you. It's not the greatest environment to enjoy your lunch, is it? In fact, there's so much going on, patients don't have time to settle down and enjoy what is basically an essential part of their treatment: food. The present atmosphere at mealtime isn't great for the staff either. Things have got to change, and they are. A revolution is taking shape across the wards in the NHS, which can have profound effects for every patient in the country. It's called Protected Mealtimes. So, just what are protected mealtimes? Simple, really. It's a period of peace and quiet when all the ward staff concentrate on making the environment for the patient as comfortable and quiet as possible for eating. Only patients and ward staff are in the ward. Everyone else should keep away. It's really a return to common sense and putting the patient first. Why is so much importance being put on the Protected Mealtimes initiative?
When people are ill, they're catabolic. They break their tissues down. So they actually need more food than when they're not ill.
Between 40 and 60% of patients come into hospital badly nourished. And sadly, we know from studies around that those patients will get worse while they're in hospital. So it's vitally important that we do something about that.
Nationally, figures show that 40% of patients arrive in hospital malnourished and 70% of those leave in an even worse state. A truly shocking statistic.
Well, we carried out the benchmarking exercise of food and nutrition, and as a result I went and did lots of the scores on the ward and found that the wards were so busy at lunchtime that there was no time for any of the patients really to get the attention of the nursing staff or to actually enjoy a meal in peace. So we decided that the best way to do that would be to try and isolate the ward during lunchtime so the nurses could focus on feeding the patients and there weren't any interruptions.
Protected mealtimes are being pioneered at London's King's College Hospital, the Darlington Memorial Hospital, the Brighton and Sussex University Hospitals, and a number of other NHS hospitals. To get the plan in action, a senior member of the nursing staff made sure that hospital executives were right behind the scheme, as it involves all the staff.
Hospitals are incredibly busy. If you sit in the ward for as little as 5 minutes, you'll see a lot of comings and goings. All those things are necessary. So what we're having to do here is to create a bit of time and space so that we can get that therapeutic bit, the meal, done properly.
We came across many examples of patients who missed their meals because clinical tests were not programmed, they simply happened. And so this exercise has actually allowed us to introduce a great deal of discipline into the normal work of a hospital ward.
Once you've got the endorsement of senior management, what next?
What we've learned from this is that the planning stage is really important. It's not just about putting up a notice on the door about saying we're going to start protected mealtime. We have to think about the scheduling. Those kinds of things really need to be worked through before we have a D-Day.
One of the things we've had to do is to educate other staff, educate visitors, educate people that might be passing through the ward that this is an important time.
So you've decided you're going to introduce protected mealtimes onto your ward. But what problems are you likely to encounter? I turned back to the CCTV to have a look. One of the main reasons patients don't eat properly is the constant stream of bedside visitors. You'll see many people on the wards at mealtimes who frankly shouldn't be there.
Shall I open your sauce for you? No. Do you want me to butter you some bread?
No. Oh no, look at our poor patient. Her neighbour's dropped in and has no intention of leaving.
It's good I haven't been able to come, will you?
We recorded video diaries of staff working on protected mealtimes wards to show some of the problems they encounter and their solutions.
The big problem we have is visitors coming up and expecting to see their relatives, and they get very argumentative and they don't understand why they can't come in.
I would normally say go downstairs, have a cup of coffee, come back up afterwards, and if patients are well enough they can also go downstairs with their visitors. They can see them actually outside of the ward.
Morning.
Morning.
Nice lunch.
Well, it was. What are you doing?
Maintenance and cleaners can arrive at the wrong time. And that delightful smell of hospital disinfectant doesn't exactly whet your appetite. Ah, the vicar. He always pops in at lunchtime.
Afternoon, Father.
We asked 100 patients in Brighton who was interrupting them. There was a name that kept coming up, and it was the vicar. And the vicar was arriving on the ward on a Sunday lunchtime. But when we had discussions with the vicar, you know, he didn't really appreciate that that was an important time and an important meal.
Phlebotomists, physiotherapists, porters wheeling people off to x-ray. Obviously the staff need to see their patients, but unless it's an emergency, surely timetables can be worked around their meal times.
We've altered our inpatient schedule in order to encompass protected meal times. This has led to us improving the service that we provide for our inpatients so that they do get their lunch and an after-lunch rest.